Welcome back to our series on the Ten Commandments, Ancient Laws for Modern Living. When I was a child, I remember having a plastic basketball hoop in my house. One day, I got the bright idea, the artistic inspiration to go and scribble with a pencil all over the backboard of this basketball hoop. Now, my parents weren't too pleased with my masterpiece, but I did not want to take the credit. So, being the good friend that I was, I quickly blamed my best friend for doing that artwork. My parents figured it out pretty quick, and promptly my mouth was washed out with soap. That was not the first and not the last of me getting my mouth washed out with soap. As a kid, before I was saved, I really struggled with lying. Why do we as humans struggle to tell the truth? Perhaps you twist truth. Maybe you twist the truth so that you're not hurt in a certain situation. Maybe you twist the truth so that your reputation stays intact in a certain situation. Maybe you twist truth so that your sin isn't discovered. Or maybe you hide the truth to get a better grade, or to move up in work, or to make yourself look better than you ought. Humans twist truth to get desired outcomes. As we come near to the end of the Ten Commandments, we're going to look today at the 9th commandment. And in it, basically God says, in order for true justice to be upheld, you must speak truthfully. Exodus 20 verse 16 says this, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." Because God had saved Israel and because he had redeemed them, Israel was not to speak falsely to one another. They were not to bear false witnesses against their neighbor. Now, it seems that this passage has some legal overtones. Basically, God is saying that in order for justice to be upheld in their society, in a court of law, you were not to speak falsely against somebody. On a much larger scale, however, we are to speak truth because it reflects God's character. God has saved you, and he has called you to be like Christ, and you are redeemed, so you must speak truthfully. Because you are redeemed, you must speak the truth. And what I want to do today is turn your attention to two specific outcomes of truth speaking. First, you must speak truthfully in order to uphold justice. As I said before, Exodus 20 verse 16 has some legal overtones. Bearing false witness implies giving a false report of your neighbor before a judge or before some official. The heart of the passage is not falsely reporting on your neighbor's actions. So, for instance, Deuteronomy 19, verses 16 through 20, specifically talks about a legal instance. It says this, "If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him, that which is wrong, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to do unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you, and those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you." What this passage says is, if a judge and the Lord and the priest find false witnesses in a certain case, whatever that false witness wants done to the accused is going to be done to the false witness. The point is, if you give a false report, judges cannot make adequate and accurate legal decisions. And why is it important? Because we want justice to be done. We have seen lying all throughout Scripture. Lying perverts what is good and true and just. In fact, lying and deceit only creates damage. In fact, we as humans fell because the devil lied to Adam and Eve. Adam willfully followed that lie, and we were plunged, all of humanity, into sin and death. Humans then lied to God. Adam and Eve blamed each other and blamed the serpent, and they hid and lied to God. Sin and lies destroy us as humans, and we see it all throughout our society. And the devil now even tries to create a false world system. The point is that deceit damages and destroys humanity. You do injustice and you bring destruction when you fail to tell the truth. So, when you're hurting, when somebody hurts you, do you exaggerate what that other person has done to you so that you gain greater sympathy and that they gain greater anger towards them? That is a perversion of justice. When you're filing your income taxes, do you fudge the information so that you can get ahead? Once again, your lying is a perversion of justice, the just distribution of funds. When you are taking a test or reporting your homework, students, do you fill it out accurately? If you don't, you're perverting your education. Lying perverts a just outcome, and ultimately it's standing in the place of God, trying to dictate the outcome that only God can dictate. So you must speak the truth in order to do justice. But second, not only must you speak the truth in order to do justice, but you must also speak truthfully in order to reflect your God. Proverbs 16 says that God hates lying. And he hates it because truthfulness and faithfulness is a fundamental part of his character. Exodus 34 verse 6, that God is faithful. He is truthful. And in Numbers 23 verse 19, it says that God is not a man that he should lie, or the son of man that he should change his mind. And because God is a God of truth, we can be confident that all of his promises are firm. In fact, because he is true, we know that we have salvation in him. We know that he loves us. We know that he is in control. We know that what we see in Scripture is truth because God is truthful. If he fails to be true, he fails to be God. God's nature is full of veracity and full of truthfulness. As God's children, you and I are saved to reflect that very character. We are not just to speak truth for truth's sake, but we are to speak truth because it is a reflection of our God. In Ephesians 4, verse 25, Paul calls you to put off lying and to speak truth to your neighbor. And you're to speak truth in hard situations. You're to speak truth when you know it hurts, when you know that either you'll get in trouble, when you'll get somebody else in trouble. You're to speak truth when it's hard. You're to speak truth when it might seem awkward. Maybe you know a friend who's really struggling with something or is in deep sin. Sometimes out of fear, you can not talk to that person, but speak truth to them. Because if we fail to speak truth in that situation, we forfeit the ability to help somebody in need. Or maybe somebody asks you how you're doing. You're afraid to tell them what's on your heart. And I'm not saying you tell everybody everything about you, but when somebody seriously asks you and seriously cares, speak truth to them. Because if you don't, you prevent an opportunity to receive the help that you need. Ultimately, a failure to speak truth is a failure to reflect your God. So lying lips are an abomination to God. In what ways do you fail to speak truth? Because you are redeemed, Christ calls us to be truth speakers. Speaking truth allows us to uphold justice, and speaking truth allows us to reflect our God. In every situation, Christ calls us to speak the truth. I want to thank you for joining me today as we studied truth. We have 2 studies left, one on the 10th commandment and then one summary, before we start likely another study. Hope you have a good week, and I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday.